The world thought they knew Pope Francis. For over a decade, he walked among the poor, challenged tradition, and became the people's pope. Then, on a quiet morning, the bells of St. Peter's Basilica tolled his passing at age 88. But as millions mourned, something unexpected happened. His sister, Maria Elena Bergoglio, who had maintained decades of silence, suddenly stepped forward. What she revealed wasn't just shocking, it threatened to shatter everything we thought we knew about the beloved pontiff. This isn't just another story about Pope Francis. This is about hidden files, deathbed confessions, and the silent war that raged behind Vatican walls, told by the one person who knew Jorge Mario Bergoglio before he wore the white cassock. The one person who claims she was entrusted with his darkest secrets, and what she's revealed has left even devoted Catholics questioning. Who was Pope Francis really? And what truths did he take to his grave? For over a decade, while Jorge Mario Bergoglio led 1.3 billion Catholics as Pope Francis, his sister Maria Elena lived quietly in Buenos Aires, Argentina. No interviews, no memoirs, no public statements. Unlike relatives of previous popes who sometimes leveraged their connections, Maria Elena remained fiercely private, a shadow in her brother's blinding spotlight. Until now, just days after her brother's funeral, she appeared on camera. No Vatican handlers, no prepared statement. Just raw emotion and unexpected revelations. "He was not just the Pope to me," she began, her voice steady despite her grief. "He was Jorge, my brother. The boy who chased dogs in the yard, who made me laugh when I was sick, and who cried the night our father died." Then came the words that stunned reporters. "I never wanted him to become Pope. It cost us more than the world will ever know." The room fell silent. What did she mean? What had it cost them? And why, after years of careful silence, was Maria Elena speaking now? As she continued, it became clear that this wasn't just a sister mourning her brother. This was a witness stepping forward, someone prepared to reveal the Jorge Bergoglio the world never knew. And what she said next sent shockwaves through the Catholic world. Maria Elena didn't just speak from grief. She spoke from memory, unlocking a past that had shaped the future pope far more than anyone realized. Jorge was always quiet, but fiercely protective, she recalled. Even as a child, he had this burden about him, like he was carrying something bigger than himself. Most Catholics have heard the sanitized version of Francis's early years, the humble upbringing in Buenos Aires, his work as a nightclub bouncer before entering the seminary, his simple, unpretentious ways. But Maria Elena revealed something deeper, a family fracture that changed her brother forever. "There was an incident in our family that left us all broken," she said carefully. "A betrayal not of faith, but of blood. Jorge took it the hardest." According to Maria Elena, their father had maintained a second family for years, a revelation that shattered young Jorge's world when he discovered it at age 12. From that moment on, his innocence was stolen, she explained. He became obsessed with righteousness, perhaps trying to cleanse the sins of those he loved most. Here came the stunning revelation. He didn't run to God because he felt called. He ran because he was trying to escape the shame. This single statement reframes everything about Pope Francis's much-praised humility. What if his constant emphasis on mercy wasn't just theological conviction, but personal necessity? What if his reforms weren't just about improving the church, but healing himself? But Maria Elena wasn't finished. She hinted at something even more explosive, something the church would prefer I never speak about. Her voice dropped almost to a whisper. Jorge carried secrets, not just his own. As Maria Elena's revelations shook the faithful, she agreed to one final interview, one she almost canceled multiple times. Her hands trembled as she began. "You must understand, Jorge believed there were things the world wasn't ready to know. Not because they were evil, but because they could unravel everything people believed in." Then she revealed something extraordinary. Pope Francis had maintained what Vatican insiders called il dossier nascosto, the hidden file, a private collection of documents, letters, and recordings compiled during his years as archbishop and continued throughout his papacy. Not even his closest advisors knew the full extent of what was inside, she explained. During his last visit to Argentina before becoming pope, Jorge had entrusted Maria Elena with a handwritten letter and a physical key. In the letter, she revealed, he wrote cryptically, "If anything happens to me and the world starts asking why I kept silent on certain matters, tell them to look beyond the golden marble. Tell them to look where even light avoids the corner." Out of respect, Maria Elena had kept the letter sealed until the morning of his death. What she found inside was devastating. A confession about discovering a network of financial corruption, high-ranking abuse cover-ups, and secret dealings between the Vatican and authoritarian governments. "He didn't name names," Maria Elena clarified, "but he left enough clues to let me know that he was caught between his duty as a moral leader and his fear of destroying the church." Most shocking was what Maria Elena revealed next. Pope Francis had chosen silence over exposure, not because he was complicit, but because he believed the church could not survive another global scandal. He made a calculated decision to reform quietly, slowly, from the inside, she explained. But in his final years, he regretted that choice. According to Maria Elena, Jorge confided, Maybe I was too soft. Maybe I should have been the Pope who ended the lies, not protected them. In the weeks before his death, Francis reportedly tried to arrange for those files to be released posthumously. But according to Maria Elena, something or someone intervened. The file has vanished from where it was stored, she claimed. Vatican officials deny its existence. No one will acknowledge it. But they know it's real and they're terrified of what's inside. The implications are staggering. What could be so dangerous that even a pope feared to release it during his lifetime? The answer, according to Maria Elena, came in his final hours. As Pope Francis lay dying, the world saw only the solemn public announcements and carefully managed images released by the Vatican. But inside his private quarters, Maria Elena witnessed something very different. His final hours weren't just spent in reflection or prayer, she revealed. They were filled with urgency. One last mission he wanted to complete, one final truth he needed to make sure did not die with him. Maria Elena leaned close and told him, "You've done all you could. You have carried more than anyone ever should. Let it go now." But Jorge, weak and frail, took her hand and whispered something she would never forget. "Promise me you will. Tell them not just about the dossier, but about the children." Confused, Maria Elena asked, "What children?" His voice barely audible, he answered, "The ones who were never counted, the ones the church failed, the ones I couldn't save." According to Maria Elena, her brother had spent years trying to expose what he called the quiet tragedies cases of abuse and mistreatment that were never documented because they occurred in remote missions, impoverished parishes, or regions the church considered too volatile to investigate. Many of the victims were children from developing countries, she explained. Jorge believed they were forgotten, not just by the world, but by the very church that was supposed to protect them. With trembling hands, Maria Elena revealed a simple wooden rosary, not valuable or ornate, just worn wood beads. He told me this. Belonged to a boy in Argentina who came to the church for help, but was turned away. He took his own life a week later, she recounted. Jorge carried this rosary for decades to remind himself of the price of silence. That rosary, Maria Elena says, is why she's breaking her own silence now. Jorge blamed himself, she revealed. He said, "I wanted to protect the faith, but I ended up protecting the system." He believed the bureaucracy of the church had become its own form of sin, an institution so focused on self-preservation that it had forgotten its purpose: mercy, justice, and truth. But the most disturbing part of Maria Elena's account was yet to come, what she claims to know about the succession plan that was already in motion before her brother's death. As white smoke once again rose above the Vatican, signaling the election of a new pope, Maria Elena made her most dangerous claim yet. During one of our final conversations, she revealed Jorge confided something disturbing. He said, "They've already chosen him," and he promised them silence. The name Jorge allegedly mentioned was Cardinal Matteo Tedesco, a charismatic, politically savvy figure rising rapidly within the Roman Curia. According to Maria Elena, her brother had uncovered correspondence suggesting that Tedesco had privately assured powerful Vatican factions that if elected pope, he would not pursue investigations into certain unopened files, particularly abuse cases from the 1980s through early 2000s in South America, parts of Africa, and Eastern Europe. Jorge said to me, "They want history to forget what happened. But if Tedesco becomes pope, they won't just forget, they'll erase." Maria Elena described a troubling pattern in her brother's final months. His public appearances decreased. His mentions of accountability grew fewer, and several of his closest advisors, those committed to transparency, were quietly reassigned or removed. Some were replaced by figures loyal to Cardinal Tedesco, she claimed. Most alarming was what Maria Elena revealed about an apostolic letter her brother had been preparing, one calling for full transparency of the church's historical abuse archives. That letter was shelved under pressure just weeks before his death, she stated. It could have changed everything. Now it might never see the light of day. What Maria Elena implied was unprecedented. That Pope Francis, despite his position, was outmaneuvered in his final days, that the institution he led had grown increasingly distant from his reformist ideals, and that his successor may have been chosen specifically to maintain the silence Jorge had finally decided to break. "I received an anonymous letter," Maria Elena added. It said, "Be careful what you say. Your brother died with dignity. Don't make the world question that." Yet Maria Elena insists she cannot remain silent, not when she possesses what may be the most explosive evidence of all. In a modest wooden chest in Maria Elena's Buenos Aires home lies what she claims is Pope Francis's private journal pages filled with reflections, warnings, and references to events never disclosed to the public. Jorge began journaling daily after his health scare in 2023, she explained. He told me, "I don't know how much longer they'll let me speak freely, but my hand still works, and I will write what my voice can't say anymore." One early entry begins, "The wolves are circling. My silence is no longer peace. It is fear disguised as obedience." From there, according to Maria Elena, the journal chronicles meetings with high-ranking cardinals who pressured him to stop speaking about historical abuse cases, urging him to protect the unity of the church. rather than seek justice. A particularly haunting entry reads, "To protect the institution by denying the truth is to crucify Christ again. I have seen the eyes of victims. I have heard their stories. And yet I'm told to remain diplomatic. But I was not made pope to protect secrets. I was made pope to serve God." Maria Elena claims her brother asked her to release parts of the journal when the time is right. But since his death, she says she's received multiple requests, some polite, some threatening, from church emissaries, demanding she surrender it. "They told me it would be better for the church, that it could cause confusion and pain if taken out of context," she says. "But Jorge trusted me with this, and I know now what he meant. The truth will always cause discomfort before it brings healing." The journal's final entry, dated just 3 days before his death, reads, "If this is my final breath, let it not be in vain. The shepherd must not fear the dark, because wolves howl loudest when they sense the morning. Beyond the journal, Maria." Elena revealed that Pope Francis left behind a sealed envelope marked, "In case of betrayal," its contents unknown even to her. "I have been advised not to open it until I'm certain it won't be destroyed or confiscated," she explained. With Cardinal Tedesco rising to prominence in the post-Francis era, Maria Elena faces an impossible choice: risk everything to share what her brother entrusted to her, or remain silent and preserve his dignified legacy. Making her decision even more difficult, she's received messages from families of abuse survivors begging her to release the journal, believing Pope Francis may have documented what no one else dared to say. For them, Maria Elena says quietly, this journal isn't just history, it's hope. The Catholic Church has survived for 2,000 years through schisms, scandals, and seismic cultural shifts. It has weathered storms that would have destroyed lesser institutions. But Maria Elena Bergoglio's revelations force us to confront a profound question. At what cost does an institution survive? Pope Francis, the man who washed the feet of prisoners, embraced the disfigured, and called for a poor church for the poor, may have carried a burden few could imagine. They acknowledged that the very institution he led was compromising the principles he held most dear. What makes this story truly heartbreaking isn't just the allegations of corruption or cover-ups, it's the portrait Maria Elena paints of a man torn between institutional loyalty and moral clarity. A pope who perhaps waited too long to speak the full truth, hoping reform could come gradually, only to find time running out. In the end, Maria Elena says, her voice breaking slightly, Jorge didn't fear death. He feared that his silence might continue after he was gone. As the church moves forward under new leadership, believers and skeptics alike must grapple with the possibility that Pope Francis's greatest legacy isn't what he accomplished, but what he couldn't. My brother believed that healing only comes through truth, Maria Elena concludes. And the truth, as he used to say, will always find its way to the light even if the path is long and winding. The question now isn't whether Pope Francis was silenced. The question is whether his words preserved in journals, letters, and the memories of those he trusted will ultimately speak louder than the silence that was forced upon him. Will Maria Elena release the journal? Will Vatican officials acknowledge the missing files? Will Cardinal Tedesco address these allegations? The world watches and waits, because some truths cannot remain buried forever, no matter how deep the grave.